welcome to Good Grief, the podcast dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing grief with compassion and humor. I'm Nikki. I'm an end-of-life doula and a grief coach in Columbus, Ohio. And today we're going to be talking about celebrity deaths. Now, I want to start with an apology because somebody reached out to me through my website, I believe, and requested this topic. And I deeply apologize. I don't remember who you are. So if you are listening, here you go. This has actually been one that's been on my list of topic ideas for a while now. And there's a lot of reasons why I decided to go with this one today, but we'll get into that in a minute. Before we dive in, I want to remind everybody you can go to patreon.com/NikkiTheDeathDoula and follow me on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you will get grief affirmations in your inbox, maybe some silly memes I like to share from time to time, as well as other bonus content. And you get early access to my podcast. You can hear it a week before everybody else in the world. So you can just say, hey, I'm cool. I get Nikki's podcast early. Most of all, you will sleep well knowing that you are doing something awesome, because every penny of the money I receive from my Patreon goes to a fund so that I can provide pro bono work to those who cannot afford my services. So that's my Patreon. Please follow me there. I would love that. Okay, so as I said, we're going to talk about celebrity deaths. First of all, I had an episode way back in my first season, and I'm struggling to remember exactly when it was, but I did an entire episode on parasocial relationships, which absolutely plays into this. I even referenced celebrity deaths in that episode. So if you want to go back and re-listen to that one, please do. Again, I apologize. I don't remember which number episode it is, but you can go back and check that out. But just to give a brief overview so you understand parasocial relationships, this is basically, I guess the simplest way I could put it would be one-sided relationships. So this is when you watch a TV show, listen to a podcast, follow a YouTube personality, or really any type of personality or person that does not know you personally at all, but you know them. And you develop a bond with that person. That's basically what a parasocial relationship is. And this goes back centuries, millennia, even to people who insisted they personally knew the gods that they all worshipped, and the gods favored them specifically. This is nothing new. This isn't something that's come out with television, although it's definitely gotten a lot more prevalent with the amount of media that exists in the world. Because like I said, there's not just TV shows anymore. There's, obviously there's movies too. There's YouTube channels. There's podcasts like this one, TikTok personalities, Instagram, like all sorts of personalities out there that put themselves in the world, and people can watch what they do and sometimes develop a bond. So first and foremost, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I'm not saying that these people are people that are just getting obsessed with celebrities all the time or stalking them or something nefarious like that. Again, definitely check out that episode on parasocial relationships, because I did also reference the grief that you might experience after things like a show ending after several seasons. You've really developed a bond with those characters. They've been in your home for, weekly, daily, whatever, for an extended period of time. You get to know and love them. So that definitely plays into our grief around celebrity deaths. So when a celebrity dies, it's kind of all over everywhere. It's on the news. I constantly see things on media platforms, social media like Facebook, Instagram, wherever. But one thing I've noticed that bothers me is that somebody might post about the death of a celebrity and be really, really broken up about it. And then there's inevitably somebody who gives them crap about being broken up over this death. Like, dude, it was just a celebrity. They didn't know you. And you didn't know them personally. Why are you grieving? So first of all, don't do that. That's shaming somebody on their grief, and that's never okay. As I say in the end of every single episode, your grief is valid. Your grief is valid. Your feelings are valid. Your grief is yours. If you're feeling it, it's real. Everyone is allowed to grieve something they've lost. And that's that, period, end of story. So when a celebrity dies, people will grieve that. And that's perfectly normal, even if, no, maybe the celebrity probably didn't know who you are and never met you in person. You maybe have never met them in person. You didn't know them outside of their celebrity, but there's still a grief there. And why does that grief exist? Well, there's a lot of different reasons for that. There was an episode, I'm not going to remember what episode this is in, but the death debt question at the end of the episode was, which celebrity suicide impacted you the most? And I talked quite a bit there about Robin Williams and why that one hit me personally. As a former comedian, as a performer, and as somebody who also suffers from depression, his death and the fact that he took his own life really impacted me. And with that, I don't want to say I felt like a kinship, but I did feel a closeness to him in that I utilized comedy to deal with my mental illness from time to time. I appreciated comedy, I love making people laugh, and there's a joy in that. And there's also a joy that celebrities bring to us, right? They're celebrities for a reason. We like what they do. We like their music. We like their acting. We like their comedy, or, we like their documentary, whatever that is, whatever their platform is. We like that, and we appreciate what they're giving the world. And yes, their stuff will still exist. It's still going to, especially with the world we live in now, you can access movies from as long back as movies have been made. You can listen to podcasts forever. With the internet, everything's pretty much out there forever, but there will never be a new something, right? I'm not going to get into the AI conversation right now because that's neither here nor there. That is a thing. People are looking to use AI of celebrities that are already deceased. That's a whole other podcast for another day. That's a different podcast in general. But regardless, yeah, their stuff will still be there, but new things will not be created. Whatever their gift was they were giving to the world is now ceasing to exist. It's gone. It still exists in its prior format, but new creations will cease to be. And there's also the connections we feel. Like I was just mentioning about, with Robin Williams, other people's might feel a connection with a singer-songwriter who writes songs that speak to their soul, their spirit, and that connection is now severed if they are gone. And let's not forget that celebrities, and I'm using this term kind of broadly because I'm not just talking about actors and musicians. This can be any type of personality that is in your life through some form of media. Here's another great example. In 2019, Thich Nhat Hanh died. He was, if you're not super familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh, he was a famous Buddhist monk and a teacher who did a lot of amazing teachings. He started an entire organization. He's written, I really don't know how many books, a gabillion books. And when he passed away, a lot of people who follow his teachings, follow his writings, read his books, it was impactful for them. And I could do a whole episode on Buddhist views and their traditions around death and dying, and I probably will at some point, but that's another story for another day. There are sometimes entire groups of people that would not have gotten together or gotten to know each other had it not been for a celebrity of some form. Going right back to where I just was with Thich Nhat Hanh, I attend a Sangha. I started attending a couple years ago, and I have made some amazing friends there, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing I get to attend every couple weeks, where we gather to talk about the dharmas and teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh. And I wouldn't know a lot of these people if it wasn't for his teachings. I wouldn't have met these people. And other celebrities do that for us too. Some of them just bring us together. So if you are grieving the loss of a celebrity, that is perfectly okay. And do not let somebody tell you that you're less than, you're weird or crazy or whatever it is they're saying for grieving that. It's a loss, and you're allowed to grieve that, okay? I just can't hammer that home enough. So how do we mourn? how do we grieve the death of somebody that is not a personal close friend or something tangible, or we probably cannot attend a funeral if it's a celebrity, or maybe there's just somebody living somewhere else in the world and we can't attend any of their funerals or celebrations of life. So how do we grieve these things? First off, one thing I mentioned a lot, and I've noticed, and I see a lot of my work as a grief coach and as a death doula, grief can feel very isolating. It can make you feel really, really alone. One kind of benefit to the loss of a public figure is there are going to be probably a lot of other people who are suffering the same loss. They're going to be mourning this death as well. So you've already got kind of a built-in community to help you work through and process your grief. I'm always talking about reaching out to other people who have suffered losses because you can all connect with each other. And wow, what a great resource right now that guarantee there's going to be other people who are suffering this loss as well. So find some resources, people who also appreciated this celebrity. You know, there are definitely fan groups, probably on social media places, Reddit, Facebook, you know, wherever you go. There might even be a local in-person community that gathers together, you know, to talk about whomever this person was or whatever their medium was. Find some of those people in your local community and even have like your own little celebration of life for that person. Get together and talk about their media, consume it, watch it, listen, whatever. Share stories about how they impacted your life and just sit with them and celebrate the legacy that they left behind. So, like I mentioned, there was a lot of reasons I chose this topic, and I've talked about a few of them, but I literally just this morning just finished listening to the audiobook of Matthew Perry's memoir. And it was actually kind of a difficult listen for me for a lot of reasons. I've known and lost people to addiction in the past, and I know there's still a lot of stuff around his actual death. You know, we don't know anyway, that's neither here nor there. But his whole book, he was talking about his struggles, and oh my God, did this man struggle with his addiction for so long. And it was a little bit more difficult for me to listen to it knowing he's dead now. And I kind of wish I could have listened to this before he died, but it definitely had a very different landing for me. It hit me way differently knowing that he's gone, especially with all the times he references being so grateful to still be alive. And either way, I recommend this book. Read it, listen to it, you know, whatever. It was a really good book. Check it out. It's on Nikki's Seal of Approval books. So that's something that's been on my heart for the last week or so. And this is a subject I've been meaning to get to. So whoever it was that suggested this, I hope this helped. I hope this helped validate your feelings, because I know you referenced a specific loss and it was somebody I hadn't heard of and I had to look them up, and I apologize again for all of that. But I hope whoever that was and anybody else here listening, I really hope that this helped you in some way and helped validate your feelings. You're not weird. You're not crazy. You're suffering. You're sad. So it's perfectly normal. Okay? All right. So that's about all I have on this subject matter. So now that we're close to the end of the episode, it is time for the Death Deck. Woot. Okay. I'm going to shuffle these up. Whoop. I always drop one every time. All right. Shuffle those up, pull one at random, and okay, this is good. What helps you cope with symptoms of worry? And this is actually the end of life deck. I'm not going to re-record that death deck haunty sound. It's from whatever. Okay, so what helps you cope with the symptoms of worry? Is it A, a listening ear, just let me talk and vent? B, good distractions like movies, music, podcasts, or C, psychoactive plant-based alternatives? Okay. So for me, I'm going to say it's actually kind of a combination of A and B. it really depends on where I'm at, with whatever is bothering me at that time. Because some things I got to talk it out, even if it's just talking to my cat or the wall and not an interactive human being. Sometimes I just need to get my thoughts out loud to sort them out, so. But I do totally get down with distracting myself from time to time, especially if the whatever emotions I'm feeling are just a little too much at the time. I will absolutely sit and scroll through TikTok or watch YouTube videos and watch, binge something or read a book. So, yeah, I guess a little bit of both. So, I'd like to hear your answer to the death deck questions and what helps you cope with worrying and grief and anxiety or any of that. You can absolutely reach out to me. I love to hear from you. I would love to know what your answer is. You can find me at nikkithedeathdoula.com. And this is usually the point in the episode where I say you can follow me on my socials and give you my handles. So I'll just use this point in the show to make a mini announcement. If you do follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, you probably saw that I made a reel from me recently, or actually as of this airs probably a couple weeks ago, that I'm slowly going to be phasing out my social media, at least for now. And it's just become way too much for me to keep up with. And I'm just trying to simplify things this year. So it's, just that's all there is. It's a lot to keep up with and I can't really do it very well anymore. So I will be letting those go. They'll still be there. The pages will still exist. I just won't be updating them anymore. At least for now. Who knows? I might come back. And there's also my caregiver virtual support group. I have a newsletter and I've got other content I'm putting out. I have a YouTube channel. You can go find that. It's Nikki the Death Doula. It's where I put podcast episodes and I do the reels I make, I put there too. So, but anyway, you can figure out anything on my website, nikkithedeathdoula.com. I pretty much just update that the most and whatever platforms I'm using are there. So that's enough. That's where you can find me. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to me blather on as usual. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast this week. And I hope you have an amazing week. But as always, please remember, your grief is yours, feelings are valid, and grief doesn't always have to suck. Good Grief with Nikki the Death Doula is produced by Nikki Smith of Nikki the Death Doula LLC in Columbus, Ohio. Nikki the Death Doula LLC is for consulting, education, emotional support, and guidance, and is no way considered a funeral establishment or licensed mental health establishment. Scripts, editing, sound design, literally everything with this podcast is done solely by Nikki Smith of Nikki the Death Doula LLC, with the exception of the music. The music is Cheery Monday by Kevin MacLeod. Licensing information can be found at filmmusic.io.